The president feels he's very, very pleased with the 9-0 decision.
That's the White House spokesman, Sean Spicer. The U.S. Supreme Court delivered a kind of a mixed ruling, but still seems like a win for Trump on the travel ban. And we are joined by WGY legal analyst Paul Harding from Martin Harding Mazzotti. Hi, Paul.
Good morning, Chuck. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
So this allows the president to put in, at least for the time being, most of his ban, right, except for people who have direct ties to the U.S.?
Yeah, so the decision overturned the lower court's decision, which was banning the ban, right? Didn't allow it to go forward. Mm-hmm. Here it did. Pretty critical little caveat in there that says that if folks have a bona fide offer from a company that can be verified, or if they have a relationship or educational piece, that they're going to be excluded from that, which was sort of one of the strongest arguments against it. So it's a victory. It's a little bit removed, and there are some arguments coming up in October over some other issues.
Now, it's just a 120-day ban. What happens after that period?
Yeah, so at that point, that's what the time the government has to take a look at who's coming in the country, and then they got to make a decision. You're either allowed in or you're not.
All right, there were a bunch of other rulings yesterday, including there was one involving this cake shop in Colorado where the guy's very religious and didn't want to make cake for gay people. Now, I guess they haven't really decided on that, have they? They just decided to take it up?
Yeah, so that's going to be an argument that's going to come forth. They just sort of took this and decided to take this case and hear that argument in October. The big case that came down on the religious front, was that Missouri case where the school applied for grants to their playground. Other charitable groups were able to get grants, to put that surface down, that rubberized surface. Mm-hmm. But the church was told, you can't apply for this. And the court came down, and a little bit of a surprise decision that said, no, we're going to allow that to happen. There's a separation of church and state. But if a church qualifies for the money, like other charitable groups, they should be able to apply and receive the funds.
Now, when they hear this case regarding the bakery in Colorado, so that was a guy who ran a cake shop, refused to make a cake for a gay couple. Now, That ruling, could that impact the Liberty Ridge case here where they refused to host the wedding for a gay couple?
Yeah, I thought of that this morning when I was reading through that. I think so. I think that those are the types of things that now the court comes down and says something very analogous to a scenario that is all around the country, and you can point to it and say, wow, that really applies to it. I think it would have a direct impact on cases just like that.
And the Supreme Court, they're not going to rule on carrying guns in public, Second Amendment case?
Right. Yeah, there was a bit of a sidestepping scenario going on there, and that was a little bit of a surprise. There just wasn't this dynamic end to the Supreme Court as it usually is. It's sort of a big day in the world of the law, where they come down and there's all this stuff happening. Again, travel ban took all the headlines. But things like that, that sort of is just sort of hanging in the air still.
You think that was that partially a product of the court being down to 8 justices and, that kind of a dynamic or not?
They're saying that there's a little bit of uncertainty, and of course they're looking as the Supreme Court Justice Kennedy, is he retiring? And that's certainly the plausible argument. Just weren't as many justices, but I also think it was just one of those, again, more uncertain times that we have here, and we kind of saw it in the Supreme Court decision that the decisions just weren't quite as bold as they'd been in the past.
So Kennedy has not made any announcement regarding his retirement. So, that was swirling around there over the last couple of days. So that's off the table at this point.
He made this. So he has all these law clerks that, served with him for 2 years. And then he had this sort of dinner for them. But he did it a year earlier than he's supposed to. So everyone looked at that and said, well, he's doing this a year early. There's no reason why he would do that. He must be retiring. He said nothing. But at this point, he would have been a great historic time to make the announcement. He didn't, so we'll have to wait and see. But it looks like right now he's an active member and has no plans to retire.
Well, he's 80. He might want to start having these dinners every year just in case.
You always want to be safe on that front. You're right.
He was a Reagan appointee. Was he considered pretty conservative?
Yeah, he is, and of course, and that would give Trump. But he wasn't probably the person that Trump wants to potentially get in there. So it would again make the court a little more conservative if he were to leave.
Good stuff. Our legal analyst, Paul Harding, Martin Harding Mazzotti, 1-800-LAW-1010. Thanks, Paul.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Take care.